I'll have to get settled, not too settled though. It is 7 p.m. We will call this meeting to order. First item is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody. If the clerk could call the roll.
Trustee Pappy,
Here.
trustee House,
Present.
trustee Bedlin,
Here.
president Gerke,
Here.
trustee Dorwart,
Present.
trustee Bart. Here. Trustee Miley.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, having a quorum, we will move on. Next item we have is public comments. I will make a couple of notes. This is for anything that's not already on the agenda. So if there's anything that anybody wants to say from the public that's not on the agenda. And then also tonight, if you have any comments to make either here or later on in the meeting, if you could please state your name before you make comments so the clerk can record that, that would be absolutely outstanding. So any public comments for anything not on the agenda tonight? All right.
Can I go? Real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Just want to make a note, we do have our village winter walk happening this Saturday at Marie Krause Park at 5 o'clock. We invite everybody in the village to come, bring a cooler and enjoy a nice walk through the park. And President Gerke here will be manning a bonfire at the end, which is fantastic. So please, and her too.
Sure.
So please get your families out and come enjoy our wonderful parks.
If I'm not mistaken, we have, what'd you say, Eric, like 20 to 30 Christmas trees to burn?
Yeah, and then, I'm gonna tell you after, but we put some pallets and some cardboard and fire gasoline.
The dump truck too, right?
So you just have to get in there, but there's, once that gets cleared out, we'll have to move up the table.
Perfect.
On fire.
Yes.
It's just like putting these tires in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's zero.
For the record, we won't be burning tires in the village parks, but nonetheless, it should be a lot of fun. So please do come and join us. It'll be a good time. All right, anything else? All right, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. We've got the minutes of February 1st. Approving the general fund water and sewer invoices as presented with no additional bills, I do not believe.
For consent agenda. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns, comments? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next, we will move on to the reports. Report on the operations of the village. First is by me. We have a couple of things to say. Tiffany kind of stole my thunder about the winter walk.
Sorry.
That's okay. Right? No problem that way. And then the other thing I just wanted to say is I just want to say thank you to the DPW staff. If they don't already know, they got a really good compliment today regarding the snow removal. I know it kind of came down fast and furious and you guys had some problems with some equipment or whatever, but you had a resident that was quite happy with how one of your members did move the snow around or whatever, which was great. And I've also heard that we were one of the only communities that had the snow removed in an actual good way before the commute. So nice work, good job, keep up the good work. And that's all I really have to talk about at the moment. So we'll go on to the administrator.
Sure, I'll just give you some highlights. President Gerke and I have been meeting with press builders and first northern parcels and their lots. As the board knows, we planned on doing some assistance with grading and with fill to make the lots more buildable. So let the time continue to meet with Hillcrest, see if we can come to consensus on how we can move forward on that. The industrial park, we met with a potential buyer for a lot that we'll be talking about later today. We toured Bagger Paperboard at a really good time and getting to know them and their business and learning all about that. Tax collection is officially completed. There's some, shouldn't be any more outstanding items after today. I think we found the last of, I hope. So we're excited to be done with that. We're going to move on. We also worked really hard on our annual audit. So for the last week or two, Chief had to work with Baker Tilly and their representatives to compile all this information, documents, fielding questions. It was a lot of work, and so I really want to thank you for all the work on that. On the public safety and infrastructure side, Director Paulson will speak to this a little bit later. We continue to get approved for different licensing and buildings with our lab. It's exciting to see. They continues to get various clients for us to expand the work within that sub-department of that department, which is exciting. Erica's group, we're working a lot with Strand for some highway construction, locating all of those utilities. As you cover, it's no surprise, when you look at our digital maps, things that are supposed to be in certain locations are not where they're supposed to be. And so we shout out to those guys and all to get that information all updated. We conducted our coffee with the village event, which was great. At the previous time, we had maybe 2 or 3 people that showed up. We had double that crowd this time, so we're excited to see that maybe the next one will be even bigger. Clerk Johnson and I conducted our joint village and town election inspector training. It's the state mandated training that we're required to do. We did 2 rounds of that with all of our returning and new election inspectors. So we feel pretty confident that we're ready for the election in April. And then finally, while I cannot maybe announce an amount, I can't say that the Washington State Bank is going to be a significant corporate sponsor of our Splash Pad project. So we're going to be working with them on messaging when we officially announce that partnership. We shout out to them as well. I think they're awesome partner. And then finally, we'll look at various customer items as they come up, including the event that we've all mentioned for Saturday. I'll just end with my monthly financial report. So all of this is about the 2024 numbers. The past the first month of January. You can see the January numbers that are put in there. The only thing of note is that this tax reconciliation doesn't happen until the end of January. It might look like we have a deficit of funds right now. We don't. It's just that the taxes that we intake from December and January aren't reflected on this report. So you'll see that in February, all tax. But other than that, we'll see pretty good. 1 month out.
Excellent. Thank you, Administrator Jenkins. Any questions for him on his report? All right, we'll move on to the village marshal. His report is in your packet. Is there any questions of him? I don't know if we have anybody that can answer them, but it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. So if not, we'll move on to the fire chief, who also is not here. I don't believe we have a report from him.
I do know.
Okay. So we'll skip that and we'll go to Public Works Director, wastewater treatment plant.
Well, my info should be in your packets. I've been light on how I explained the winter operations have gone this year. It's been challenging, let alone rough. One to note is a dump truck that has only toured the village once this season. It's been down. I don't have exact numbers, but I'm probably pretty close since January 1 of 23 till now, almost 20,000 in that truck. And I haven't used it. So I will be looking for ideas from the board on what you want me to do with that, because I cannot plow the village with one plow truck.
So what happened today? Was it,
Yeah, we got about 40 minutes out, and Brandon got out, the salter jammed up, and then when he got back in, the alarm was going off, was overheating.
so,
We had talked last week, you were explaining a lot of stuff that, but especially after the first 12 inches of snow we had that one time, if we would have got hit again, you said it would have been very serious issue. Equipment and infrastructure is what makes this village, roll. We had talked about the finance situation with what we wanted to do. Is that something that you could?
Yeah, we talked about the timeline to get a new vehicle like that. Obviously, it needs to be customized and built, and that's a typical process sometimes.
So, Depending on what cab chassis you go, internationals, minimum 2 years out just to get the cab itself. And then once you get that chassis, it's another 6 months build for the rest of it. So even if you would order it like this fall, you wouldn't get it till 26. And I was told by Truck Country, which is a Freightliner, that in 27, EPA is changing the emissions on diesel trucks, which will add another 30,000 to the vehicle. So he advised if you're gonna get one, get it before that. And I do have it, it's in the CIP, 426. But the foot of snow we got last time, what 18 inches, whatever it was. You guys saw any of the complaints on social media that the industrial park was terrible. I had one salt truck throughout the village, that was it. And it took me 10 hours to get to that industrial park. Bruce.
You, talked about maybe not brand new.
The hard thing is, before COVID, you used to be able to buy a truck on the lot, you used to be able to, I'll just use like Ozaki County would rotate trucks out a little faster because they could get them. You don't have that anymore. Dan, I believe you said that through the 09.
Yeah, I mean, I looked a little bit today just to kind of see what was out there, but I mean, again, you're talking. I saw one for 25,000 that was like completely rusted to hell and, 200 and some odd thousand miles on it, so it's expensive, And I just don't know that we want to go down that route and put, 20, 30 grand into something that would be similar to what we have now.
Well, it's just not working.
Yeah, it's.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one, and then the last storm, not the big one, both our snow blowers go down that that do the sidewalks. One actually never started, and then the other one we had to pull with the skid loaders.
We also talked about, a blower, you could shoot it in the back of one of your dumps, so that if we did by chance get 20 inches of snow, that we have someplace to go with it. There's several things that you have talked to me since I met you, about not only equipment, but infrastructure. And I think we need to really, as a board, address all this. I would like to do it sooner than later.
And then, update with the skid loader that was purchased, that was here January 1, we have put on 120 hours already. That did a lot of removal when the truck went down. So we're using the equipment, I don't know if that's why it's breaking now, it's being used, I don't know. Because I've asked Brandon this morning, because I don't understand it. That's, and to go on with administrator, we are certified now to test nitrates for water, which is good for public and private. We are the only municipality in the county that can do that, along with testing for E-flag in the county. We're the only wastewater plant that can test. Lab is up and running and improving. I met with another municipality today. They're gonna be going through a plant upgrade. And like I mentioned last year, their upgrade was anticipated $1.5 million, came in at $2 million. Everything is just going up. If they have to bypass and they have to bring in a separate wastewater plant, run meaning trailers, it's a smaller municipality, then he's going to ask the contractor to subcontract the lab here while that goes on. So another good source of income coming in. And then municipality to the north, I talked to him yesterday and he said he's kind of got the same issue we have with equipment, but he wants to bring his lab here.
So that's another win, that's another gain.
Good work.
Nice work. Good job.
Chatter. That chatter you talked about. That, drain chatter.
Oh, that was a good thing.
Oh,
I'll mention that, Oh, it's not in this.
That's item 60. We weren't quite prepared to talk about that this week.
Something that we'll talk about in the following
Yeah.
meeting.
We didn't have a quote, that matched the ask, so we had to wait for the quote to come in.
No,
So we'll talk about that on March 7th.
Be ready for me, I got.
I know, the memo's written.
gotcha. So I think what Director Paulus is either asking for is either we put some money or start dedicating some more money into some of our equipment, or giving him more money for tow straps so we can start hauling it back to the shop every time it breaks. So it's kind of one of the two, something as Bruce Pappy says, we need to focus on that a little bit in our upcoming budgets and make sure that Eric's got the equipment that he needs to make everybody safe here in the village and allow us to all get around efficiently and smoothly and safely. So it is not falling on deaf ears. I appreciate you letting us know, and we will move forward to do what we can do to help in the near future.
And I have reached out to the county, Stockville and Belgium, that if we come in desperate need, if they could make a pass or two through to help us out. But like them, they're tight on equipment too. And I have reached out, so.
Right. All right. Any other questions for Director Paulus?
Everything's been on a shoestring for the last 6 to 8 years, and everybody is experiencing what that does to a municipality.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Move on to our village clerk.
So my report is in your packet, but I did want to just start talking about the reval, the board of review and the open book. We're planning that already. It's coming up faster than you think. So the open book has been scheduled for May 15th, and the board of review won't be held until June 25th. It's a month later than we usually have it. And that is because the reval is going to take some extra time. We've been communicating with residents. We sent a letter in all of our, everyone's tax bills, and we also included a letter from our assessor in the autumn newsletter talking about the upcoming reval. And then again in the spring, when we send out our spring newsletter, Les is going to write another little blurb explaining the open book and appeals process. And then also Eric Feeble will be out and about in the village in his blue Subaru Impreza. And he has a magnet on the side of the car to identify him as a village employee. And then, let's see, I sent the tax exemption reports to applicable properties, and we'll file that report as they are returned. Oh, our BCPL state trust funds loan was approved. We processed a little more paperwork, and now we have just one more piece of paperwork to do before they wire us the money or send us a check, whatever we choose. So that was very exciting today. And then we sent all our closing documents for the bond package that you guys approved at the last meeting into Quarles. So we're waiting till February 22nd for that to close, and then those funds will be wired to wherever Chris and Melissa said they should be. And then Chris said earlier that we administered our 2 elections trainings, and that's great. That's a huge checklist off our list of things to do in terms of preparing for this election cycle. We don't have to do trainings like that again until 2026, which I'm excited about. So that's it.
So I wanted to piggyback a little bit off of the letter that went out for the reval and just say thank you for that at the coffee with us. I believe that's when the resident had said how helpful that was.
Oh, good.
So people are reading that, and they said, we were concerned about it at first, but we got that information that came in, through
Good.
that, and it was helpful to understand that, no, that we're not just raising taxes, we're
Yeah.
reval as a whole
Yeah.
village type thing.
And
So,
we're gonna continue to talk about it as
Good.
we move through the process. So
Good.
that's great that people are paying attention.
yep, absolutely. So well done. Right. Anything else for the clerk? Now we will move on to our lovely treasurer who's in back.
Was kind of touched on it. I kind of took the best of it, this last couple of years. I think we're through it. I haven't heard from John for 2 days, 3 days now, so
Excellent.
hopefully we got her everything she needs. Read into the few pickups today with tax bills that were paid by credit card. Nobody notified us, so we have to work with the county to get that cleaned up, which I have done. And slowly we're squared away now.
Rock and roll.
Always.
It's always going to be something too. All right, well, we appreciate everything that you do. I know how many hours you have both been putting in, so I appreciate that and keep up the good work. Anything else for Melissa? Questions? All right, we will move on to the Ozaki County District 2 Supervisor.
I have nothing to report that really affects the village of Fredonia, but I will say, there's an interesting conversation that's starting to happen on the town side. With the button factory has become just an absolute eyesore and becoming a problem, so. For those of you who don't know, I don't really post anything on Facebook, but I couldn't take it anymore, so I jumped in the fray, so. Yeah, that's just a whole mess there, and the county's definitely interested in doing some of that. It's just a matter of coming to an amicable solution, and that's probably gonna be turned into a park here at some point. More than likely, but we gotta go through the process, but that's the only thing really pressing that's going on from a county level. Like I said, that's not really affecting the village, but it's definitely affecting the township in Wabaca.
All right. Any questions of Josh?
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit more? I've never heard of it.
Button factory?
Yeah,
It's right down, it's an old factory, and it's right down off the Milwaukee River, right?
okay.
Where is that, on about Corner Park and Mill Street? Right on Mill Street, yeah.
Across the river from the doghouse.
Right,
It's not being used anymore.
it got purchased. What, 30 years ago, a long time ago, it got purchased. Anyway, the owner of the property has never really done anything with it, and now it's starting to cave in, and they've closed the road off because it started leaning into the road. He's trying to get a mint for this thing, and it's not worth it, so now he's to the point where he can't do anything with it, he can't build on it, he can't do nothing. I mean, the DNR stepped in, the county stepped in, and so he's trying to get a golden parachute is what I would say, and it's not gonna happen, so it's becoming an issue for, like I said, I've been working on with him for over 2 years, trying to get that cleaned up, and just the county came in, made him an offer that they wanted to get that back from him to turn that into a park, and they were gonna do all the demolition and everything. I mean, I thought it was a pretty sweet deal, and he said, nope. If I don't get XML for it, I don't wanna do it. It's like, well, now he's looking for the county to step in and help him out, and they're not interested, so they're just gonna wait to see how this all progresses, but it's been an ongoing concern even before I became a supervisor, so.
Sounds like a boondoggle.
Yep. All right, anything else for Josh? We will move on to our new Mid-Moraine Municipal, say that, Mid-Moraine Municipal Association Designated Representative. That's to go with.
It's a MMADR, huh?
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we had, the main topic at that was discussed at the meeting last night was, Washington County's involvement with, several of the municipalities and a couple of developers, I believe, involved in that with that also, of, trying to, in a way, force, housing prices lower. They wanna hold, they wanna build smaller houses on smaller lots, and, they'll be like, they won't be like custom built houses, they'll be like spec homes. And, they wanna hold the price for 75%, they want 1,000 homes in the next 10 years. They wanna hold the price at 75% of it would be 320,000 or less, and the other 25 would be less than 420. It seemed to me to be a bit of pie in the sky. The data points and the information that they're working with is recent, but it's old. And it pertains to, it offers the realities that have been in the past couple of years. They're using all this information to form different make different decisions about how to go about this and that and the other thing. Some of the comments at the, meeting from some of the members were how we were going to, ensure that these homes would not be built cheaply. You know, you have to have at least 2 nails in a stud, otherwise, you know, you're not building a house. It used to be 3. You know, that's one thing, but, you know, going through the whole house, you can make a lot of, you can save a lot of money by cutting corners. And, they want these houses to be, long lasting. They will have, deed restrictions that they will only be owner occupied in perpetuity. So if you wanna sell a house, you gotta sell to somebody else that's gonna live there, you can't, you know. The multifamilies will be, owner occupied, most likely, condos. And, I don't know if something like that was that ever introduced to Zaki County? Or is Jason mindful of that? I can't see Zaki County putting that much bankroll up to, there's a lot of money involved. I think one of the figures was $200,000 to start with. And, I just didn't see that something like this would really work. You know, I hate to, you know, go and do it and try and see if you can do something, because we gotta do something, but I don't think that's the right thing. They had talked about, down payment, loans of $20,000 that could be worked off with community service. That's theoretically a good program, but it never worked. So the municipalities and the county are gonna be holding a lot of bags throughout this process, and, I don't know, I just don't see it being successful, but, sometimes I have quite a parochial mind, and there's other people that are inventing and different processes and stuff like that, that surprise all of us that, well, geez, I didn't think that would work, you know, so I'm not poo-poohing it, but I wouldn't want to introduce that into Zaki County or join something like that as a municipality, until I'm sure that it would work, and I'd have to see it work first. So, but everybody thought that it was a good idea that somebody's trying to do something about it. They mentioned, efficiencies that they can build into homes and stuff like that now. I mean, you being a realtor and seeing a lot of building and stuff like that over the last 5-10 years, builders and developers and everything have installed in most of their homes just about every efficiency they could imagine to keep the prices down. I don't know how much further you can go with these without taking the wallpaper off the wall and things like that. Purpose, no, nothing with it. And so, it's an idea that, is well-meaning, and I wish all the luck in the world, but, I'm kind of doubtful that it's really gonna come to fruition, so. There's a few other things that we talked about, nothing really. They would like us to pass the league, sponsored, bill against, Senate Bill 691 for the towns, trying to capture a good portion of the home rule of cities and villages for themselves. So, and that's not gonna work out for anybody, but, I will bring that, introduce that resolution probably at the next board meeting.
Okay.
And then, we can take a look at that, and so far it's in committee and it's not really moving much, and nothing's really going with it, so we have time to send a resolution. There's other, municipalities that have already forwarded resolutions to the state. So we should consider that. And, we had a good discussion about a number of things, so. Good. Any questions?
I guess I'll just make a comment, and I'm not gonna say too much, only because I could get into it for the next 45 minutes, and I don't think we wanna do that about the whole building thing, but I would just say that, yes, a lot of this, I think, is based off of what's happened in Sheboygan County in the last couple of years. Sheboygan County, the EDC there did roll out a program where they are building affordable homes and they're doing upwards of how many was it, 100 and some odd per year that they're trying to push out, same parameters, 325 up to 400, all that. And what they're finding out now is it's possible as long as you have enough people that do it, but the problem is, for better or for worse, the margins are so small for the builders that the builders don't want to do it. You know, people think a lot of times that, well, just the material prices are so high, you know, you get different materials and you should be able to build the house for less, but the labor for a lot of those install procedures is still the same. And the labor is what's really high and hasn't come down to. So, yeah, pie in the sky thinking, it's definitely something that needs to be done. Something needs to happen with the housing prices and the availability of homes for people to move into. But like you said, I don't know really what that is, and we can all keep coming up with ideas and hopefully something sticks, kind of like the spaghetti thrown against the wall thing, but
No,
see what happens in the future.
Imagine inflation doesn't help with any of that either.
no.
So,
That gobbled up all the efficiencies that
Yeah.
they created the last 5 years,
That's right.
and then some.
Mhm.
So we're still behind, and we already done what they intend to try to do,
that's right.
for the most part. There might be a few things that come up. It's all on the periphery. We need meat and potatoes, and this is all on the periphery.
All right, any other questions for trustee Orr? Thank you very much. Appreciate that insight, and it's always good to hear what's going on with the league. We will move on now to items for discussion and or action. The first one that we have is the introduction of ordinance 2024-02 pertaining to the use of golf carts on village streets. I will again remind the board that there is no action that's going to be taken on this tonight. This is merely an introduction to the proposed ordinance change, or the proposed ordinance, I should say. And that, again, this isn't meant to be a back and forth between people as much as it is to be presented, more informational, and then we can have some discussion amongst ourselves after those items are presented. So with that, I believe that we have a resident here that would love to talk about this possible ordinance here.
Yeah, I actually don't have a whole lot to say. If you guys had a chance to read the letter, that's basically everything I wanted to say. I'm not a real good public.
Are you,
speaker.
oh, sorry, you're Mark?
Mark Beekler,
Okay,
sorry. Yep,
perfect.
that's me. So, yeah, I had the opportunity this last summer to drive my mother-in-law's golf cart in the village of Belgium.
Mhm.
And I have one and I thought, well, this is great, you know, the kids love it. And then when I read through the village of Belgium's ordinance, I saw that they did such a good job of making it, having regulations to keep property and people safe by requiring certain things like an inspection by the village marshal and like requiring proof of insurance, all that type of thing, you know, and following safety laws, traffic laws, everything like that. So I guess that's kind of all I had. Just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought and propose it.
And then I believe that we have the ordinance from Belgium,
Yeah,
right?
so this,
Yes,
what we included in tonight's packet is the exact language that you provided us. So this
Yeah.
is the ordinance from Belgium. We've worked on it a little bit, if you guys choose to move forward with this, to format it to fit into our set of ordinances. So that's ready to roll. I think we would need to have legal review before we brought it to you, and I didn't want to do that until we knew what our action steps should be.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I can kind of understand with ATVs, I had that in the letter too, with ATVs and UTVs, they go super fast, they can be super loud, so I can see how that could cause noise complaints or even dangerous situations where a golf cart is super quiet and, you know, doesn't go very fast, 15 miles per hour, no different than a bicycle, so. And I also had put in the letter too about the majority of our village streets here, I feel are nice and wide with ample room to stay to the right, you know, without interrupting the flow of traffic. The only thing is maybe Fredonia Ave is kind of on in the westbound lane is a little narrow, you know, but
Do you know the volume of traffic on Main Street on Broadway Avenue compared to Downing? I mean, we get a ton of shrimp down these. I mean, all
Sure.
over the day. Curious if you do that.
No, I'm not really sure. The only thing I guess I could say is maybe it could be in the ordinance to not be on Fredonia Ave, or just cross Fredonia Ave. I don't know, just a suggestion.
Mhm.
Obviously, you can make the ordinance however you want.
I'm pretty sure that the Village of Belgium does something similar, at least with their ATV and UTV ordinance, where they can't approach 43 up there as well, so.
Oh.
I mean, Highway D and 43, so coming into the village.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it. I think my stance would remain the same as I took UTVs when we took that up a while ago. I mean, safety is just a big concern, and with us here with 57 and Fredonia Avenue and Milwaukee Street, I just get concerned. I mean, I don't mind it with the golf cart thing. It doesn't bother me. I just think we have to be really crystal clear on where they can go and how they're used, just for pure safety
That makes
reasons.
sense. Yeah.
Is it time as any?
I think,
Yeah.
so we received a communication from a resident today that she asked to be read out loud, at tonight's meeting.
So I'll just read this here. It says concerning the possibility of golf carts on village streets. If ATV are not allowed, why would golf carts be allowed? Please take into consideration there are several handicapped and blind residents who use scooters. A blind person can't sense golf carts. How will the golf carts stop in time if there are any distractions? Cars barely stop in time for a blind or handicapped resident crossing a street, especially Main Street. Martin Drive is particularly busy. Please take into consideration the handicapped and the blind and take care of our residents. Sincerely, a concerned family member of a blind resident. So just something to think about.
Excuse me, did you, are you aware of any problems or issues with that ordinance? Any,
I did call the clerk over there, and she had told me that since they adopted the ordinance, there's been 0 incidents and 0 problems. So. Oh, she also said that there was currently 10, because they have them all registered, there's 10 to 12 registered golf carts within the village. So it's not like it'd be like bombarded with golf carts. I can't imagine that many people in the village, that even hold one, you know.
The fastest city golf cart could go is like 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
oh,
I don't know what they put up there.
They can be stuff not supposed to be, but I mean. 20 miles per hour.
I don't think speed would be
No, I don't think that's an issue.
a concern with this.
I think I'd be more concerned with the safety of the person on the golf cart.
Sure.
Somebody running into them,
Mhm.
and there's no protection around them.
gas and or electric and that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's well.
Public safety issue, you gotta.
I just have an answer to your traffic count question, I just looked it up. So Fredonia Ave's average traffic count is 5,000. And in Belgium, their main thoroughfare, which I imagine is D, theirs measuring 5,500, so they have a little bit higher traffic count. But I don't believe their ordinance says that they can't drive up. I don't think so.
What do you say, 5,000 per day?
Yeah, it's an average.
Well, again, I mean, this isn't something that we're gonna decide on, you know, right here and now to see if we're gonna like vote on anything as far as that goes. I think the bigger thing is, do we want to consider this and think about moving it to the next step and talk about the different changes that would be made to our ordinances and then possibly do something?
I think so. I mean, we always request, we set a standard of information. Citizen brought something forth, they brought the information. There's other
Yep.
municipalities that are similar to ours, they're doing it. I think it's at least worth investigating.
Yeah, we should at least consider it, and discuss it,
I agree.
not saying which way, which way I'll go on that, but
Mhm.
it's worth the discussion.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important to note that obviously our resident, our resident here did some information or did some research, I should say, looked at information, and it was good to see that, you know, again, I don't know the stats of the UTVs and the ATVs in Belgium either, but I can't imagine there's probably too many things that are going on there with those either. So it's it's a changing world, that's all I gotta say, and I think it's good to take a look at everything and see what we can accomplish moving forward.
Maybe if we had mini bikes too.
Mini bikes, you want mini bikes too?
Appreciate your due diligence on
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
bringing it
Yeah.
forward. Good work on the research.
So then our next step is it'll go through legal review, it'll go through our marshal's office for his opinion. Go through our clerk, obviously, for formatting, and then, we'll bring back before you that revised copy for you guys to consider.
So,
I would think that it would be prudent for us, given all the trucks and stuff that we're gonna have to buy, rather than involve a lawyer at the top of the process, to get a good consensus as to whether or not something like this is likely to pass first. And if it becomes, you know, a toss up or as well, you know, well, man, whatever, you know, then we can start putting some dollars into configuring an ordinance that's written properly. I'm checking over and writing an ordinance of this type, it's probably gonna cost us $1,500 for a time, if not more. So, it's a lot of money. I would have to, personally, I would have to be convinced to change my vote from what I voted last time. I compare that to the bicycle path going through the county. ATVs and motorized vehicles aren't allowed in that. So we're gonna put them on our streets. You know, it's,
and I mean, my only counter to that would be, I mean, we've got them in towns, we've got them in the village, but I mean, I think the village allows
Village
ATVs and
runs
stuff.
one, yeah, we run
Right.
ATV.
So, I mean, it's one of those where it becomes, it is kind of getting a little goofy, right? You stop at the town, you can't go through the village, but then you can go to another town and through another village and all that stuff too. So I see both sides of it though. I mean, the public safety part of it too, you don't wanna, the perception is you pass something like this and you're gonna have 3,000 ATVs on the street, you know, and that's just not gonna happen, but the perception is there that it could cause problems, so.
But Donna's right too about the money too, right? I mean, to invest in anything for towns and best interest, especially what we looked at 10 minutes ago.
Well, just so you know, our precedents have been that, you know, this is the introductory of this item. And you guys technically, you could pass it at the next meeting. I suppose you could pass it contingent on, right, so that way you guys can then have that flesh out that discussion, and if it's not something you're moving forward with, then, like you said, we can waste the dollars.
And I think to that point, I mean, we can start talking about different things at the next meeting as well as, okay, well, do we want to have it? No, you know, not to, can't go on this road after these hours and all that stuff and kind of put that in there before we would send it to legal review. As well as see if there's something that we could come to an agreement on.
I know the town of Saukville, I believe it was brought to them recently, like last year. Has anybody else heard about that or heard the outcome? I didn't hear what their final decision was. Be curious to see, you know, we know what Belgium's doing. We know Random Lake has UTVs and ATVs allowed on the road and it's doing great up there. I'd be curious to hear what Saukville is doing and, you know, some of our neighboring communities.
I agree, we're very similar to Belgium. I can't imagine us veering that far off of something that already has been done. The legwork that has been done, especially if they've had no issues with it. I mean, yeah, a couple changes, we would leave ATVs and UTVs out, but other than that, why reinvent the wheel if we don't have to?
But do we
Does
need
seem
to
to be a
leave,
well-crafted ordinance.
do we need to leave ATVs and UTVs out? I mean, if we're doing this for golf carts, why not look at ATVs and UTVs right away as well and do it once?
I will say if we're gonna do UTVs and ATVs, I would vote the same way I did last time. If we're gonna just leave golf carts, I would probably change my vote. But if we're gonna try and do it all, I would not support, I would stick with the vote I had 2 years ago.
Well, sounds like we've got some discussion that needs to happen. And kind of go from there next time.
So what I prepared for the next meeting is literally this text, just formatted to fit into our ordinances. So I'll bring that back to you. There's in section H, there's some specific stuff that refers to other sections in their code. we'd have to look through that kind of with a careful eye, but I can format that as well. And I'll just bring this right back to you and you guys can make edits at the meeting. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's.
The ordinance, change goes to state, right? Does that cost any money?
The ordinance change goes to state, no, so when we make changes here, it's internal, right? We send it to general code for posting on our website and for our code book, but this specific one wouldn't require state approval.
Alright.
Yeah, we have no state highways in the village. It used to be 84 was a state highway. Hasn't been that for years. It's a county trunk now. So,
All right, any other discussion on this before we move forward? All right, well, we will welcome this back next time and we'll see where we can go from it. Thank you for coming and introducing it and bringing it to our attention. We always do enjoy that for anybody who might be listening out there. We do like public input and this is why we're here, is to help, guide these decisions and make these things a reality. So if there are any other things that people would like to, have changed, this is the way to do it. Bring it before us and see what happens from there. So. All right, we will move on then. I believe it's item B would be a motion to approve attendance at the Clerks and Treasurers Institute by Treasurer Depus and Clerk Johnson.
I'll move to improve and apply the policy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, concerns? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have fun.
Thank you.
Next, we have a motion to approve updates and upgrades
Yes, it was.
to GIS storm sanitary and water not to exceed 6,000. This is a budgeted item. I don't know if anybody wants to take it, but GIS is, it's crucial as to what we do and to be able to give us information on what's going on in our municipality. And, as our DPW director and our administrator said, it's frustrating when these things aren't updated and then you go to look for information and utilities aren't in the right spots and things like that. So again, budgeted item and something that we should be updating and we have been updating as we go forward.
I'll make the motion.
Does this have to do with populating layers?
Well, it's some of it, yeah.
Some of it, and that's what I think, yeah.
So this is more for storm, sewer and water.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what Roger did before, but the last updates were in 22. So anything we try and add now, I can't update it. So that would be to refresh it, add a few layers on our side, add a couple of dashboards. Basically that's, the DNR requires so much of what I do be reported to the state. And I can't do that because it's not in there. So sewer cleaning, televising, valve turning, hydrant flushing, all that needs to be reported. And it's 22 is the last I can do. So I'm not sure if Roger just had smaller things, a couple thousand every year to do it. Well, here we're splitting it up into the 3 and not to exceed it, so.
Yeah, it looks like there's GIS layer updates, dashboard updates and GIS as needed GIS updates, so.
Then to clean some of it up, like if I pull an inspection report on a valve or a hydrant, there's like 35 different inputs, it's gonna be taken down to 5. There's no reason to have all the, and then they're all linked in. Clean it up, user friendly.
More helpful. I heard a motion somewhere.
Just got halfway through it.
I'll make a motion to approve the updates,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed 6,000.
So
I'll
that's
second.
second and a third. All right, I'll call all those in favor. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Now we're gonna move on. We did have,
Are we waiting on a bid for that or something?
Yeah, that was my fault. I printed the wrong one, so
Okay.
the one that's in your packet is correct. And we'll talk about this one on March 7th.
so we would be moving on to discussion and action on commercial inspection services, but that particular item has been taken care of, so we don't actually need to discuss that today, so we will not be going into discussion about that. All right. I have to read this whole thing. All right, next we have a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Consideration of offer to purchase a portion of parcel number 09-035-15-011.00 located in TID number 3.
Motion to go into closed session because of what he said.
Mhm.
Second.
So. we'll do a roll call.
Yeah, all right. I have a motion and a second. We do need a roll call vote, so I'll start down there with you. All those in favor?
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
All right, motion carries. Y'all are kicked out.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Are you leaving, Melissa? Bye, Melissa.
Not this time. Next.
That went well.
All right, we are out of closed session now. And we are back in open session, so. Number 9. All right, now we have discussion of possible action on offer to purchase a portion of parcel number 09-035-15-011.00.
I would like to make a motion to counter the offer to purchase from Great Land Electric dated 2/5/24 with lines 654 and 655 changed to read at buyer's expense.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or concerns? Not, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Do we have any correspondence?
No.
No correspondence tonight. Any items for future consideration by the village board?
Yeah, shouldn't we have donuts?
We had donuts earlier this week.
For what?
No, I do have an actual thing.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
Besides donuts. So I did briefly discuss this with President Gerke, but if you recall, shoot, almost 4 years ago, those of us that were here, we presented Becca Shower with a proclamation recognizing her athletic accomplishments and citizenship. So I think it's time to do that again, and I'd like to put Maya Delary for this proclamation this time around.
Yeah.
She's, for those that, is everybody familiar with Maya?
No,
No?
with who?
Maya Delary is a senior this year, and she's been in wrestling for, I don't know, several years. But she's one of few females that you know, that kind of pioneered
Mhm.
female wrestling here in Ozaki.
For sure.
And she's inspired so many other young girls to do the same. And she's mentored, she's coached, she's, you know, just inspired. So, and she's achieved a lot in the wrestling world. You know, she's gone to state, I don't know how many times. In fact, she's heading there this time around, I'm guessing, as long as she makes it through Saturday. So I'd like to write up a proclamation for her and present it to her. Maybe the first meeting of April.
After the election.
Yeah, well, no, before the election, actually.
So
Right. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be?
It was the,
April 2nd is the election.
April 2nd. Okay, never mind. Okay, so.
Yeah,
either way,
we're all on board until the third.
pretty sure
Tuesday.
Anything with athletics like that,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, you bet.
we wanted to wait because we wanted to get past state.
Yep.
State wrestling, which is in March.
Agreed.
So we didn't want to do it too soon. But I did kind of. I have talked to her mom about it and her dad. They are separate, but and they're excited about it. They're very on board with it. So they would get. They'll get statements from coaches and stuff like that.
Agreed.
I'd second that.
I would too if you're voting on it.
So
And if I could-
I'll do all the legwork and, you know, we can present it to her maybe the first meeting of April. assuming their schedule coincides.
Outstanding. Thank you for doing that. I think it's, as trustee Poppy was saying too, I think it's great that we, in the past, have kind of set a precedence for really recognizing people that have excelled in both athletics, Eagle Scout projects, things like that, and also in sports. There's some other ones that also happened this year that maybe we can take a look at too and see some other things that have happened, that big milestones too. About the school, but yeah, it's great. I appreciate you doing that, taking the lead on that and pursuing that. Thank you. Anything else for anyone? You know what time it is?
Is the second April meeting after the third Tuesday or before?
The second April meeting
I need a diagram.
The
is
second,
before the third Tuesday. It is after the third. No, wait, it's after the third
it's after the
Tuesday.
third Tuesday.
No, it's the 15th. It's the first and 15th, just in February.
That's the
So-
fourth and the eighteenth. So this is the
So
third.
the third Tuesday or the 15th?
Mhm,
Okay, yeah, so then we'd have to do the first meeting.
the Tuesday.
Yeah, we have to do the first meeting. The second meeting in April is when the new members are gonna get sworn.
Oh, right, yeah, the eighteenth. So yeah, we'll have to do it the first, so that'd be April 4th.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, sometimes the leap year screws that up and jumps it.
I will add that to the agenda on Monday morning so that it's a placeholder.
And by the way, we do kind of want to keep it a surprise for Maya, so.
Now that we've broadcasted it publicly to our YouTube channel, that we have one
I'm
subscriber
hoping
to.
he's not gonna watch this recording.
We have, I think we have one.
3 people watch it every week.
Yeah.
One of them for me.
So if you know, if you're watching this and you know Maya, please, shh,
Yeah.
it's a surprise.
So I guess on that, I know we've mentioned that and this should be something that we do too, but really we should start broadcasting these on like YouTube, or not YouTube, or but Facebook or whatever, but we've got new,
Well, if we ever get the microphones installed.
Broadcasting them on Facebook
like Facebook Live or something like that, YouTube TV.
in addition to Zoom.
And let's put on.
Yeah, cause I'm.
No,
Well,
thanks.
you won't be here.
Any likes we
I
get.
did,
Yeah,
okay, I can look into that.
Yeah.
I did talk to a gentleman, speaking of this,
Yeah.
this week and did mention that our meetings are now Zoom and he could
They're
attend
on
them via
YouTube
Zoom and
Yeah,
all of that.
A lot of people watch them afterwards.
He wasn't aware that it was an option, that it could even be done, so I kind of talked him through a little bit. His grandkids are gonna come help him this week, you know, while he's there, but I do think it's a good thing
Good.
for some
Well, and I think,
technology challenged members of the community can,
yeah.
you know, try and help.
And I think also,
well.
if you think about like the Zoom part of it, you gotta get the link and you gotta click on it and everything else. If we just do it on our Facebook Live,
Yes, yep.
you can, it's just broadcast on Facebook. Anybody that's looking into it can, you know, on our thing can look at it. now.
Pretty sure we already have capabilities.
Okay, does it record? Would it replace Zoom? We can talk about it later.
Not necessarily, so I think it's through the kilobyte.
I just wonder how I would get it from
Motion to
from Facebook.
Yeah, well, I'm not ready for you yet, so you just hold on. Second. Okay, well, now 2 people want to, so I have a motion in a second. All those in favor? Aye. You're opposed? Nay.
I didn't hear it.
Motion carries.
Jonathan first.
Okay.
1 nay.